We're recording live. Welcome to encounter number 7, where we're going to be covering a lot of good things, trying to back up the vocabulary that we've covered so far, learn how to make the nouns play with each other in the construct state. Before we get started, let's start like we always do with any questions you might have. I'm going to turn off my camera and we're going to focus on what's going on in the presentation. So, any questions? We have today Ward and, not Ward, Ward's not here. We've got John and Gio. Any questions as we get started? From the reading, from last week, anything that's got you tripped up until now? Oh, and I'll release the whiteboard. You can write your questions here too if you have something you want to ask.
Jason, as I mentioned before, Gio joined us and you started recording. For me, trying to hammer the vocabulary into my head is going to be a challenge, and without vocabulary, it drastically slows down and makes the reading much more difficult. However, to some extent, for all of us, we'll get out of this what we put into it. So,
and the more times that you are exposed to whatever lexical term, the higher your chance of retention. Meaning that if you read the text again and again, you're more likely to have those words kind of just cement themselves into your brain. Whereas if you're just looking at a list of words, it's hard to hold on to them. So if you say to yourself, like if you're reading in the text and it says I'm going to say vayasem. Wow, my pen is writing funny today. Vayasem, this is just a form you'll see in the text. You don't need to know the form. Vayasem, because you don't know verb forms yet. Vayasem et Yosef. Wow, this is really looking ugly. I don't know why. Vayasem et Yosef babor. You see in the text that it says babor. If you just try to memorize the word bor, okay, this word bor, try to memorize the word in a list, you're going to have maybe problems. How do you remember what bor means, right? Bor. What does bor mean? But if you remember this in the text, they said, Vayasem et Yosef babor, and he put Joseph in a pit. Then you're like, oh, okay, babor, in a pit. He put him in a pit. Babor amok. He put him in a deep pit. Once you run into the words again and again in a text, then your retention is much more likely. You're much more likely to retain the word. You know what I mean?
Good point, yes.
So I totally understand that like memorizing a list of words with definitions, we're not computers, you know. You can put a list of words into a Python program and it will save it as a dictionary, you know. And in Python you can write a dictionary. You can put a term and its definition and a term and the computer will remember it forever. But humans aren't like that. We don't learn words in isolation. That's how I feel anyway. Like if you have a list of words, it's always going to be difficult to learn. But once you start drawing meaning from it because it's given to you in a sentence, then the words like seep into your brain and they don't let go. Yeah. So it's all about repetition. In Latin, they say repetition is the mother of memory. Repetitio mater memoriae. Repetition is the mother of memory. Repetitio mater memoriae. So the more you repeat it, the more likely you are to hold on to it. But we're going to repeat our nouns that we've covered up until chapter 7. Oh, sorry. Do we have more questions besides vocabulary retention? So for retention, number one, read the stories like several times. Go over our reading together and the recordings on YouTube. Number two, Quizlet. Even though memorizing in list is not the best idea in the world, vocabulary cards have always proven to be useful for just memorizing, rote memory of vocabulary words, and Quizlet has digital vocabulary cards. So I think it's good to quiz yourself in addition to your reading. I think also that using a variety of vocabulary tools is also a good idea. So variety. This pen is really disobedient today. So what I mean by variety, I shared with you a file already on biblical Hebrew and Aramaic vocabulary. You might take a look at that. It's well worth your time, by Mitchell. There's also the Student's Vocabulary Guide that you can buy, I think from Zondervan. They've now just come out with a brand new book called, it's called Book by Book Vocabulary Guide for the Hebrew, something like this, for the Hebrew Old Testament or something. I'm not sure what it's called. Something like Book by Book Vocabulary Guide. It takes the vocabulary and breaks it into the books by frequency within the books of the Bible. So if you got a few extra bucks, that might be a good resource. I think it's $20, and I think it is.
Who's the author of that, or editor? Or...
Oh, I'd have to look that up.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay.
I can send it to you afterwards. I'll send a link to the group. It's well worth your time. And this is my next book purchase. I'm going to get that just so I can know, what to share with you guys from it. Anything else before we move on? Yeah, so reading, Quizlet, and variety of resources. That is, don't just use our vocabulary list, but get books like those and just go through them and just read the vocabulary out loud to yourself. Practice it. It's not, the point isn't really memorization as much as exposure, because you've never seen these words before. You need to be exposed to them, and the quickest way to do it is just to throw them at you as a list, especially just before you're reading a text, because then you'll look for those words in the text. Anyway, so up to chapter 7, we've just learned shy of 100 vocabulary words. It might be a couple more than 100, because they don't put some of the words in the list that we have been exposed to. Of the 94 words officially given in the vocabulary list until now, 32 of them are verbs, 27 of them are nouns, and 7 of them are adjectives. That's really not a lot of adjectives. We've got like gadol, ra, rav. We've just got a few adjectives. So some common nouns used in illustrations, such as melech and adama, don't even appear in the vocabulary list. So I'm not sure where we stand with our exact number of exposed vocabulary words, but we're about maybe a fifth of the way with vocabulary to where we need to be, to where we're starting to feel comfortable. Once you have about 500 vocabulary words, you start to feel more relaxed and have a bigger picture of how the words are used. But right now we're still limited, so I know it's frustrating, and I know you feel, that how can you tackle all of these words that they're throwing at you, but they have to throw them at you. And you just catch what you can, and you'll get more as we go along. So let's take a few minutes to review the nouns that we have learned up to this point, and then we'll start looking at them with regard to the construct state. This is our main objective today, is to cover the construct state with general basic nouns. So let's just go through them one by one, and we'll just read them and talk about their meaning. This is av. Av means father. You might not know it yet, but the plural is avot. It looks feminine because it's got that ot ending, but it's not feminine. What they told me in Ulpan a long time ago was that about 30% of the vocabulary stock in Hebrew have what we would call opposite endings. That is masculine that end in ot, and feminine that end in im. So with nouns, 30% is a huge variant, I guess we would say. 30% is a large part of the vocabulary stock. So we cannot call it irregular. It's very common to say that these are irregular. That is, nouns that are masculine that take ot in the plural and feminine that take im in the plural. You can't call something irregular if it happens 30% of the time. It's not irregular, it's just a different class of nouns. The thing is that in adjective forms, im is for masculine and ot is for feminine, and that's fixed. Im is masculine for plural, and ot is feminine. But in nouns, 30% of the time that's reversed. So if you say shulchan is table, it's masculine, but the plural is shulchanot, tables. Av is father, obviously masculine, but the plural is avot. Chalon is window, and it's masculine, and the plural is chalonot. On the other side of things, also kiseh is masculine, it means chair or throne, and kisaot is, or kisaot, depends on how you pronounce it, is the plural ending in ot. It's still masculine. Feminine, tzipor. Tzipor is feminine, it's a bird. Tziporim is feminine with an im ending. We're going to see it a lot, so don't freak out. I'm just letting you know that 30% have reversed endings, masculine in ot and feminine in im, in the noun, in nouns, not in adjectives. So av, avot, father, fathers. Ach, achim, brother, brothers. Ach, achim. Okay, does anybody know what this is and what the plural of it would be?
I should know, ish.
Yeah, ish. And it means a person. It doesn't mean man like necessarily gender masculine, male. It means a person. It just happens to be masculine. It's a masculine person. Isha is a feminine person. The word for male is zachar. Zachar. It's a different word. But this means, and the word for man in later Hebrew is gever. Gever. That's specifically a masculine man, not a woman. But this means a person. It could be a woman. Ish could be a woman. If you're laying down a law and you say, a person shall bring a sacrifice to God, blah, 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 it will be in masculine because it refers to all people, but it could be a woman who's bringing the sacrifice. Ish doesn't have to be a man, it means person. Okay? Is that pretty clear?
I think so.
Okay, so the plural of ish is anashim. Anashim. Anashim is people. Okay? Do we know this already? Anashim?
Yep.
So anashim is people. It can be men or women. Anashim. We're going to compare it to this one in just a second. Ish, isha. We're going to compare the plural forms also. I want to take a look also at the construct forms afterwards. This word is land or country. How would we read that?
Eretz.
Eretz, yes. Eretz. Eretz. The plural is, this is feminine. The plural ends in ot. Arasot. Okay, if we think about the syllables, this is near and it's long. And this one's distant, and it's reduced. Aratzot. Aratzot. Okay, aratzot. These are lands.
In the singular, I see the first syllable has an accent, but in the plural, the accent's on the last syllable.
That's the common way that things happen. Like derech. Speaking of words that have the reversed endings, this one has a reversed ending, that one has a reversed ending, this one has reversed ending, this one has reversed ending. This one does too. It's very, very, very common. Av is avot. Women is nashim, but it's feminine. Nashim. Drachim is feminine. Drachim. Chalomot is masculine. Mekomot is masculine. It's so common. It's so common. Like I said, like 30% of the vocabulary stuck. I just look at this list of words and I'm like, wow, it's right there in front of us. But aratzot is indeed according to what we would consider the rule. Aratzot. This is feminine, plural with ot ending. Aratzot. The stress is on the end of the word, like Ward has just pointed out. Eretz, aratzot. We don't normally mark word final stress, so we don't really need it, but it's aratzot. We're going to look at the construct and what happens when you join another word onto the end of it, and the accent's over here. That this is now the near syllable, and it's historically long, we can't reduce it. Come on. And that makes this distant 1 and distant 2. This one reduces to shva, as is natural, and this one reduces to patach, because you can't have two shvas together. So artzot. Artzot is in construct. We're going to look at that in a second. We'll spell that out clearly and more clearly. That's just presenting it. Isha is the feminine of ish. We can see in the middle of it that dagesh. This represents that the word root is actual ansh, like enosh. Okay, enosh. And when you add the feminine ending, okay, we could have a theoretical insha. Insha, theoretical. And that noon assimilates into the shin and it becomes isha with dagesh. Two shins. That's shin. Okay, does that make sense? Isha actually has that root inside of it that shows that it's nun shin. We would see that here too, but if we can imagine this, the root anash, like anashim, we can imagine that it would have fallen something like this, inch, that those two vowelless consonants join together. Ish with that dagesh. But dagesh at the end of the word doesn't like to stand. We don't like dagesh at the end of the word, so it drops out. And the loss of the dagesh causes that E to elongate. Ish, it's long. So we can imagine this also coming from the same root. Enosh, enash, human. Okay? This and this come from the same root, but here we actually see the dagesh, and here the dagesh has fallen out because it's at the end of a word. Kind of theoretical, kind of heavy, but we know that they come from the same root. So isha, the plural, is one of those backwards ones. Nashim. Nashim ends in im, but it means women. Nashim. Okay, kind of feel like I'm preaching now. You guys have comments? Anything to say?
I'm scribbling notes. I'm listening.
Okay, excellent. This is beged. Beged is a garment, something that you wear. Okay, begadim, the plural begadim, is clothing. It's garments, clothing. Okay, obviously stress syllable. Near is lengthened and distant is reduced. Begadim, begadim. Clothing. Ani lovesh begadim. I am wearing clothing. Ani lovesh begadim. Okay, begadim. Bor. We talked about bor. What does bor mean?
That's the pit.
Yes, a pit. So en mayim babor. There is no water. En mayim babor. So instead of water, what was in the bowl in Genesis chapter 37? There was no water in the bowl, but what was in the bowl? In the bowl was Joseph. Joseph was in the bowl. Right? Okay, but afterwards, in Yosef bowl, there's no Joseph in the pit. This is another word that turns its plural around, and it's borot. Borot, pits, cisterns. Borot, but it's masculine. Borot. Okay, Gio, what do we have here?
Bait.
And the accent is on the beginning, so it's bite. Okay, fantastic. Bite means house. The construct we're going to see is bait. The I inside of a word becomes a, bait. Bait means house of. We're going to see it also in this word. Ein means I. And ein is the eye of someone. Ein. We have a street in most Israeli cities called Ein HaKoreh. Ein HaKoreh, the eye of the reader. Ein. Another common one is zait. Zait. Zait means olive. And so the plural is zaitim. Zaitim. This I becomes a. Zaitim, olives. Einaim is the plural here. Einaim, eyes. This one is a little different because it doesn't follow that pattern. It's not beitim, but it's batim. Batim. Batim means houses. Kind of funny because there's dagesh in this letter, so we put meteg. Batim. Batim is houses. It wants that dagesh there because it doesn't want to say basim or bathim. It's a hard T sound, which would normally close the syllable, and the meteg is here to say, no, we want to keep the syllable open, but have the hard sound of that taf. Batim. Meteg is to hold the vowel back. So it's batim with the hard taf without closing the syllable. Funny, I don't know why it's like that, but that's how it is. Okay, the word ward, what word do we have here?
I mean John or Ward?
Oh, John, Ward is not here. Oh my goodness, sorry. I'm used to having three of you, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so John, what's up?
Son?
What's that? I didn't hear you.
Oh, son?
Yes.
S-O-N?
Yeah, how do you read the word?
Bane?
Okay. Well, you can come back to a softer eh and say ben. Ben. We're going to reserve the longer a sound for the word between. Between. Because that's with yod. We're going to say ben. Between. But this one is ben. Ben. Just to make it different in your ears. Ben. The construct actually is a short vowel, and it's segol. Construct. Ben, son of. Ben. Ben Avraham, son of Abraham. Ben Yitzchak, son of Isaac. Okay, so the root here is obviously bet nun. This is the feminine form of the same word. Okay, at some point in the history, in Arabic, the word is bent. Bent. Bent means a girl. Bent. B-N-T is the root. B-I-N-T is a girl in Arabic. Bint. So in Hebrew also it was probably bant originally. The N-T would have joined together as a dagesh, like doubled letter. The dagesh doesn't stand at the end of the word, just like here, and it just dropped out. So bant becomes bat. Bat. Bat is from the word B-N. That's the root, just like ben. In Arabic, also you see it with aleph at the beginning. So Ibn Ezra. Ibn is son of. That means the same as ben. So probably in Hebrew we had something like that. Aleph, bet, nun. And then whenever we add the feminine ending, first of all we lost that aleph somewhere. Add the feminine ending and these two join together and we get bat. Bat is for a daughter. The plural still shows that root. The plural is banot. Banot is daughters. In the same way that banim is sons. Okay? Have I lost you? Too much theory?
No, all good.
Okay. It's kind of helpful to see how the words are connected rather than trying just to memorize them as isolated forms. So, anyway, so bat means daughter and banot is daughters. This
Well,
one.
the explanation, I mean, it does, otherwise it looks like it's completely irregular or arbitrary. There is some rhyme or reason behind
They do fit together.
Yeah, how they fit together.
Okay, so what do we have? This one, Geo. This one we use all the time as the model noun, but it's not really a model.
Davar.
Yeah, meaning?
What was that? Davar. I forget.
It's kind of elusive. It can mean a thing, a matter, can mean a word. In modern Hebrew, we use it more for things than for words. We took a word from Aramaic that means word. We took the word milah from Aramaic. Because we needed, this word it's too ambiguous, right? It's like, it can be word or command or matter or issue. And so I didn't invent the Hebrew language, but the people decided, I guess, that the word was too elusive, and then so they added another word to take over the meaning of word. And they let this one mean matter or thing, which we also have another word for, inyan. But whatever. Davar is kind of elusive in the Bible. You have to read the sentence and say, okay, is this a word that's spoken or heard, or is it a thing that's done or brought or, Yeah. But the word of the Lord...
Context.
Exactly, context. They say context is king. Dvar Adonai. Dvar Adonai, the word of the Lord. The word of the Lord came to the prophet Isaiah saying, Dvar Adonai. This is Vayhi Dvar Adonai El Hanavi. The word of the Lord came to the prophet. Dvar. Okay, the next word is, John, what do we have here? Dumb. Does it mean anything to you?
And I recognize it as a word I've tried to memorize the meaning, and I don't remember.
Okay, let's put it in context. The Levitical code, the law code of Leviticus has a lot of use for this word. Number one is if somebody sacrifices an animal, they sprinkle its dam on the altar. Dam.
Only the blood.
If somebody is guilty of a crime and you put them to death, their dam is on their own head.
Blood.
Blood. According to the law, according to the book of Hebrews anyway, according to the law, all things are forgiven with dam, blood. Okay, so we often find this word dam in the plural, damim. And you can see whenever you see the plural that this mem is actually doubled. So it's damim with dagesh. Damim. Bloods. Or blood. Okay? Don't know why that's important. Derech. Derech means way or road. Derech. The plural is drachim. Drachim. D-R. D-R-C-H-Y-M. Drachim. Drachim means roads. Roads, ways, drachim. In the Psalms, it says of the Torah, Kol drachea darchei noam. Darchei noam means pleasant ways. Darchei noam, ways of pleasantness. In the Torah, it says, or it speaks of wisdom, but we apply it to the Torah. It says, all of her ways are ways of pleasantness. Darchei noam. Darchei noam. Okay? Derech, path. Derech. Make straight the derech of the Lord. Derech. Okay? The next word is related to Abraham. Let's check the time, see how we're doing. We probably shouldn't be too much on this. Let's go through them more quickly.
Your audio breaking for me.
Yep, same with me. I thought it was just my connection, but you're coming in now.
Is it stronger now? Is it stronger now?
It's like garbled. No.
Oh no, I seem to be freezing up a bit here. Let's see what I can do. I'm going to pause the recording and we'll come back. Through the rest of this, sorry we got cut off. We don't need to go through every word because we've got a lot to do. So, zera is seed, meaning like seed that's sown in the ground, and also offspring, like children. It can be children or seed actually. The next word is chalom. We've seen this several times. Chalom, dream, in the Joseph story. He's a cholem chalomot. Chalomot is dreams. Yad, hand. It takes a dual plural. Yadayim. Yadayim, hands. Yadayim. Yom, day. Plural is the plural is yamim. Yamim. Kesef, silver. You can have the plural ksafim, meaning currencies or monies. Ksafim, kesef, ksafim. Mate can mean staff. It can also mean a tribe, like a tribe of the people. Mate. And in modern Hebrew, it means headquarters, like a place
That's
where.
quite a range of meanings.
Yeah. So there's it's funny because it looks as far as structure is concerned, it looks the same as the word mita. Mita means bed. Mita is like with chirik. So at one point in the life of I think it was Joseph. Joseph had the two children, right? Esau and who had Isaac? Isaac had Jacob and Esau. Well, when he was old, he sat up on the edge of his bed, mita. There's some discussion about if it means on his bed or on his staff. Was he leaning on his bed or on his staff? Because the words look the same, mate and mita. So the argument is, which was it? I don't know. I can't solve those questions, but they exist. Makom means place. Makom. Makom. The ending is mekomot in the plural. Mekomot, but it's masculine. Ein, I, is like yad in that it takes a dual ending. Einaim. Einaim, yadaim. Yadaim, hands. Einaim, eyes. Einaim. Einaim. The ai becomes a. So, naim. Einaim. Eyes. Okay? Et means time. Et. If you say now, the word in the Bible for now is ata. It's from et. Ata means now. And also ba'et. Ba'et hahi in the Bible, like in this passage that we read, ba'et hahi means at that time. Ba'et hahi. Et is time and ba is at. Ba'et hahi, at that time. We went over hahi in the last lesson. It means that one. Ba'et hahi, at that time. Also with this word is, well, if we say frequently in modern Hebrew, we say le'itim kovot, that is time, like times close together. This is also one that flips the ending. Et is like a time, and itim is feminine plural. Itim. Another one that flips masculine, feminine endings. Like this is a good list of things because also kol, and also sadeh. These also flip the endings. Kol, the ending is kolot, but it's masculine, and sadeh is sadot, and it's also masculine. Son is flock or sheep. Kol is voice or noise, sound. Sadeh is field. Shalom, we know obviously. And Shem is name or reputation. Shem. Okay, so Baal Shem Tov is someone with a good reputation. Shem. Okay, as far as concepts, absolute is what we use to say the normal form of a noun when it's in isolation, when it's by itself. So davar. Davar is the normal form of the word. That's how you're going to find it. It's absolute. Absolute means it's alone, by itself. When you take off the endings, when you take off the vowels and you add endings, like davar, when you can add his is o. This becomes the near syllable. This becomes distant, reduced. Devaro, his word. We're not getting into endings yet, but I just want to show you basically how they work. His word, devaro. You can see that this is no longer the absolute form because the absolute is davar. That's what we mean by absolute. We mean the form as it stands on its own. Davar. Okay? Another form of the word is the construct. Construct, the idea is that you can take this word and you can chain it to this word. Normally we use the word of to translate it. So we say the book of the man's book. Or we can say the house of your father. Or we can say the money of the people, the people's money. Or we can say the temple of the Lord. You see what I mean? Of, it just takes two words, temple and Lord, and joins them together as one concept. We have this in English, we have, if you think about it, we have this word, and it gets put into one of these, and then we call this by a combined name, flower pot. Flower pot is actually two words together, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So this is the concept of the construct. It's two words together fitting one idea. And what happens is we see vowel changes. Just like if we took, the word davar, and we added another syllable. This shifts the accent here. We say dvarim, and this causes this to become near, long, and this to become distant, short. We're going to see the exact same changes when we add another word instead of just another syllable. Okay? So if we have davar, we have davar, and then we have the name of God. This word acts just like an ending. This whole word is as if it has the accent here, the word itself. Then this syllable becomes near, and it's closed, unaccented, so it's short. And this syllable becomes distant, so it reduces. Dvar Adonai, the word of the Lord.
Yep.
And this is considered to be as far as reckoning the idea, it's one unit. It's a noun phrase on its own. Two nouns that are joined together is one noun phrase. Devar Adonai is the word of the Lord, or God's word. Means God's revelation, or his oracle. Okay? We already know the concepts of singular and plural, so there's not much to talk about there. I just put them up there because they kind of go along with what we're dealing with. All right, so we already talked about this. The absolute form is the one that we find normally, davar, and the construct form is going to shift that accent over, making this near and this distant, and then these will obey the regular rules of syllabification. Okay, that is, the near syllable lengthens and the distant syllable reduces. But in this case, when we have a closed syllable, we can't have this because it would be o. Devor. We don't want devor, we want devar, and so it stays as patach. You know why this would be o, right? If this were kamatz, why this would be o?
Closed, unaccented.
Exactly. The accent is over here. It's a closed syllable, so it would be short. We don't want that short o. We want an a sound, so we have to leave it as patach. Okay. Next, the same. We have the theoretical historical form, where if we add the ending im, the plural ending, this becomes near, distant. The near lengthens, distant reduces. Devarim, that's the absolute form for the plural. When you have the construct, you're going to drop the im and have a instead. That's the normal masculine ending for construct. So the accent's here. This is near. It stays historically long because that's the ending. The a ending for plural construct and the ot ending for feminine construct is not going to change. These they don't shorten. They're historically long. They stay as they are. So this distant reduces, and this distant reduces. When you have two shvas together, the first one becomes something to resolve the problem. Most of the time, e. Divrei. Divrei. And because this was a full vowel, it was a that reduced. And this was a full vowel that reduced. They both try to act like vocal shva, so this will be medial. This is a medial shva. This is we're gonna see it in other words like melech, where you have a chaf here, and that chaf remains soft. Okay. Malche, and that chaf remains soft, because it's a medial shva. Too much information? Oh my God, we're gonna explode. Okay, next. Do you need to breathe a little bit? You want to talk? kind of relax that overload?
I'm okay.
I'm taking notes.
All right, as long as you guys are taking notes, it's all good.
Yeah, I'm scribbling at this end.
All right,
Notes, that is.
great. So here we have the word chacham. And it says wise woman of. Chacham is obviously not a woman. Chacham is masculine form. Excuse me. But our goal is to take this word, chacham, and to turn it into, first of all, to feminine, and then from the historical to the actual form. And we need to add the ending for the plural. And then break it down, or not in the plural in this case, but the singular, but break it down and see what happens to the vowels. Okay? This is all saved. You have the answers in the book, by the way. You know yours for all the exercises that appear in the workbook. You have the answers. So the answers for exercise 7. Let's see. Exercise 7. They're on page 304 of the workbook. So we're going to just look. We're going to first get the historical form, the historic form. So in this case, to get the historic form, remember with we're going to just take these long vowels and make them short. Chacham. Chacham. I didn't mean to put this one. I was just underlining the word. Sorry. Chacham. This is the historical form, right? We want female, so we add chacham, and then we add ma. Chacham and ma. This is it's theoretical. Chacham with the ending for feminine. Chacham. Okay, so now we have a couple of syllables that are going to cause changes. Okay, this one is accented, which means this one becomes reduced. And this one also becomes, the near becomes long, sorry, this becomes long and this one becomes reduced. Chachama. So chachama is a wise woman, right? But what we want is to take this ending and make it, we want to make it a construct. So we've got chacham, chachama. We know that in the construct, this ma ending becomes mat. Okay, and suddenly this is the near syllable, which means that this one, what happens to it? It's distant one, right? D1, and this one's D2. What happens to D1? Near lengthens, but in this case it's closed, so it won't. Distant, what happens with all distant syllables?
Reduced.
Reduced. So we're going to imagine that we've got these two reduced syllables. We have now two shvas that are next to each other. One of them needs to resolve, right? What would this resolve to?
Well, I know what the answer in the book says, but
Oh, that doesn't look good. Let's see how I can make this look tolerable. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so this one reduces to shva. This one would normally like to reduce to chirik. That's the normal practice, right? Normal practice. Two shvas become chirik, but these guttural letters prefer patach. Chachmat. The wise woman of. Chachmat. Is that what's written in the book? I haven't even looked. Sorry.
yes.
Chachmat.
Yeah.
Chachmat would be. Oh, this says women. Oh, it's plural. Sorry. In the book, it's plural. I just saw woman.
You're doing the second one.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. wise woman of. Okay, so let's turn on the screen and see if you can play around and get to the plural form. What do you think? Who wants to try that? Just talk us through it. You can erase your ink as you go along. Just try to theorize how they got to the forms. You don't like this kind of exercise? I think this is fun. I think this is it's interesting. Okay, John, good.
Start with the absolute singular.
Good, the historic form, good.
And then
you might want to give yourself some more room than that, some more space. Like erase the last two, like back, and then give yourself a little bit more space.
Still don't have enough space.
Yeah, it's funny to write right to left whenever you're dealing with things that you're not used to writing that direction, you know.
That's the plural.
Let's just let's go ahead and assume that the accent is shifted and it's now it's in construct, so the accent is on the next word. So let's put the accent over on this side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
this one, obviously, the mem is going to change form because it's in the middle of a word, right?
So it's going to collect the dagesh.
No reason for it. The dagesh is for doubling letters. We don't have any beged kefet letters here. But let's shift this accent over here. This one.
Yeah.
Okay. So once we've done that, if we imagine this here, this
I don't
accent.
know how do we erase my accent part?
Oh, you've got this arrow right there, the little the undo arrow.
Oh, right. Okay.
So you can go back like one step at a time in your erasure.
Okay, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So the accent's over here somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's the construct.
Yep. Makaf. Mm-hmm.
So you said something happens to the mem?
Oh yeah, it changes form because this is the end of a word. We want it in the middle of a word like this.
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Okay, so historically we had chachamot.
So these are going to shorten.
Yeah, they both shorten because, or they both reduce.
Distant.
Because now if this is a syllable, this is near, distant, and distant.
This one, the reasons you explained previously, will end up as a patak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we could call this like to resolve. We're going to resolve the problem. It's a resolution. Wow, this pen's just writing garbage. Resolution, that's an S. Look at that, that's an S. Oh, resolution. It resolves, like there's a problem when you have two shvas. So the first one is going to resolve. It's going to like make that smooth. So chachmot. Chachmot haaretz, the wise women of the earth. Okay? Chachmot.
And this stays unaltered then.
Because it's historically long, you can't reduce it. Excellent. Next we have mishpatim, the judgments of mishpat. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you the form because obviously to get the historical form. Okay, I say obviously. Maybe it's not so obvious, but you shorten the vowel because historical forms only have short vowels. Remember, You can't break the cluster. Mish, it has to stay. So that's the historical form. Mishpat. Mishpat. Mishpat means judgment. Okay, so from there, from the historical form, go ahead, Gio, and give us our construct plural. Construct plural actually obviously has the ending a instead of im. So mishpat, mishpatim is the absolute plural. Mishpatim. We want the construct plural.
Construct. This retains it.
Because it's a cluster that you're not going to break. Good.
Oops, sorry.
That's good enough. It's legible. It's hard to draw on a computer.
Yeah. Okay. Mishpatim. Would imagine.
Figure out the vowels after you've added the ending. Because then once you've added the ending, you know where the accent's going to be. Then you can play with the vowels.
Okay. Okay. Let's write this process. That.
Just missing one letter because the plural is yod, yodmen.
Yod mem. Okay. Right there. Yes.
Mishpatim, just the one with the one dot, right?
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
It should be.
It's actually this one. This is the good one.
Okay. So okay.
So mishpatim, judgments. So instead of the im, we're going to drop the im and add a. A. Drop the im and add a. So if this is any consonant, instead of im, we're going to drop that im and add a. A is the construct ending.
Yeah.
Wow, bad handwriting. Oh my goodness. My handwriting is not that bad, but this pen doesn't work.
Okay. So that mish. Mish. Day. Mishpate. And then you have yod here, construct, and you have the accent.
Excellent. So what's if we divide them into near, distant, however you want to divide them, what's near?
And near would be this one. Tay.
Yep, so it's long, okay, and it's actually historically long, so it couldn't be shortened. Good.
And then you have here distant one, and then here distant two.
Yeah, and distant two is a cluster that can't be broken, closed syllable, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what happens to distant one?
Becomes short from yeah.
Yeah, so reduce it to shva, and then you have the form exactly as it should be.
Okay.
Just reduce distant one, and your form is perfect.
Okay. Right. It is mish. And then
Yes.
mish. Mishpetei.
Mishpatei is the judgments of, so you could say the judgments of God. Mishpatei Adonai, the judgments of the Lord. Mishpatei Adonai. The judgments of the Lord are altogether right. Mishpatei. Okay. Yad was given in the example. We're just going to say that yad becomes yadayim in the plural. Come on, I can type. I can really write here. I can. Yadayim. Okay, yadayim is plural. It's the dual ending. Yadayim. Whenever the dual takes the same endings as the plural, and it becomes day with that historical short. Okay, this is, so yadei with the accent here. This is now the near syllable, so it stays long, but this one reduces. So the form is yedei, the hands of. Yedei Adonai, the hands of God. Yedei HaMelech, the hands of the king. Yedei. This comes into use a lot in prepositions that we'll see later. All right, and the harder ones. Remember that in the segolate nouns, we've got two different historical roots, malk and malach. So malk, when we want the queen of, you've got the historical malk, and you've got the feminine at. Okay, malk, malkat. Okay, we've got the historical form, and we add the at ending for the feminine construct. Malkat. Malkat Hayofi, the queen of beauty, beauty queen. Kings of. Okay, we've got our historical malach. Malach as our historical. The kings of, the construct is a. That's the ending. This becomes near because it's joined to the next word. Distant one reduces. Distant two reduces, but we resolve it with a. Ma. Ma leche. Ma leche. This is with our medial shava here, because it represents the dropping of a vowel. Malechei haaretz, the kings of the earth. Malechei haaretz. Malchei haaretz. Books of, we've got our historical form, Sifr, or could be Safar, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Oops, I would write my P backwards. Okay, books of was A for the construct. If this is our historical, this is near, it stays long. This is distant, it reduces. And this one is already reduced as it is because the historical is E. Sifre. Sifre, books of. So the expression Sifre Kodesh, holy books. Sifre Kodesh. Sifre Kodesh, holy books. Okay, next.
Jason, I'm going to have to leave, unfortunately.
All right.
Thank you, and I'll watch the rest of the session on YouTube.
Well, I really appreciate you being here, and I hope that it was meaningful. That construct is kind of difficult, but I think you tackled it really well.
Okay. Anyway, thanks.
My pleasure. We'll see you later. Okay, so we're just going to continue to practice with our vocabulary words and construct. We want to see that construct can fit into the last word that we're going to see here in the chain is always in the absolute form. Okay, and any other word that's in the chain, it can be 2, 3 words, 4 words, whatever, are going to be in the construct. Okay. Any word before the last one. The last one is absolute. All the others are construct. Okay? So if we say, let's take a couple of words. It's hard to pull from these words. It's kind of weird. let's say, okay, so we know this is place. We can say the place of something. The place of the pit. Place of the pit, like the place where the pit is. Bor. Wow. It's unforgivable, this pen. Gotta write really slow. Bor, okay, is absolute. If it's definite, the definiteness of that phrase, of that word, goes to all the rest of the words in the phrase. So, makom, it looks like it didn't write, so I write it again. Okay, makom, here the accent is going to be on here, this word. So this is near, and this is distant, it reduces. Makom habor. Makom habor is the place of the pit. Makom habor. Is that clear to you?
Yes. So it doesn't have to have the definite ha in front of makom.
Yeah, because
So,
the definiteness of the absolute form, if it's definite, it gives its definiteness to the whole chain.
Like a distributive or
Yeah.
something.
So let's take another example. Shalom and bait. This is a common expression, means like you do everything you can to keep peace in your home. Shlom bait. Shlom bait. Shlom bait. Okay, shlom bait, because the first syllable becomes distant. This is near, and so this reduces. Shlom bait. Okay, shlom bait, peace of house, like peacefulness of your house. Shlom bait. Derech. Making this thing register that I want a dot is also difficult. Derech. Melech. Derech HaMelech is the king's road, like in Game of Thrones, the king's road. Derech HaMelech. Derech HaMelech. The king's road. The present of the definite article extends to this. It's the road of the king. So do you want to go ahead and choose a couple of words that you want? You can use the word melech and adama, words that also you know that aren't in the list. Just put the absolute form on the far left side, and then here try to figure out what the construct would be.
Okay. Oh. Okay. Maybe I'll take construct. I'll get this.
You can also use names. If you use a name, like you'd say the children of Abraham or the seed of Abraham, to use a New Testament expression, the seed of Abraham.
Seed of Abraham. Okay. Yeah. Seed. Is the seed of Abraham. Okay. What is that? Seed. What's the word? What's that word again?
Seed? Is this one? This one here?
There you go. Zera. Seed of Abraham. Of of Abraham. So Abraham will be here, and then the
Yes,
seed will be here.
exactly.
Okay. Except I forgot. So Abraham.
Yeah, it's with Aleph, Av, like father. Remember father Abraham, so it's Av, Raham. Av, Raham. Precisely. So Av is a closed syllable, so we want a short vowel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you close it with shva, Av.
Okay, and then same.
But it's an open syllable. The accent's here. Open syllable. Long vowel.
Long vowel.
Avra. And also the accented syllable generally takes long vowels. There's no rule about it, but it generally does.
So
Avraham. Avraham.
Abraham.
Yeah, so that's Avraham. And so here we would just put seed.
Seed. How do you write that?
We generally write it like this and then down.
Okay.
Precisely. For whatever reason, most construct nouns, even though if you look at it and you say this one's distant, most construct nouns, or segolate nouns, keep that segol in the first syllable. So even though you look at it and you say zera, this is distant syllable and this is near and distant, you would think that this one would reduce, but it doesn't.
Yeah.
The segolate nouns they tend to keep that full segol. We looked at the example earlier that doesn't. That's cheder. Cheder is room. For whatever reason, cheder becomes chadar. Chadar. So this is near, and this is distant, reduced. Chadar. But most segolate nouns are going to keep their full form. So melech haaretz, the king of the land. Melech haaretz. Can you erase all of this?
Yep.
So melech haaretz. This is king of the land. It also will keep its own secondary accent. We're actually going to not pronounce it as if there were no accent on it and it's only over here. We're going to read melech haaretz, melech haaretz. That it has a secondary stress that remains with it. Melech haaretz. So zera Avraham, not zera Avraham. Like their accent stays. Zera Avraham. Kesef ha'am, the people's money. Okay. How do you feel about construct generally? We haven't even gotten into our reading section yet. This is a review of construct forms. So when we have on the end, the pattern is to change that kamatz to patach and add taf. The hey becomes taf. So malka, queen, becomes malkat. Malkat yofi, beauty queen, malkat yofi. This is Torah. What does it become?
Torah.
Torah is the Torah of. It'll be of something over here. Torah. Many times the word that's in absolute, the word in the absolute form, it becomes adjectival. So if you say like the city of holiness, Ir HaKodesh, you don't mean the city of holiness, you mean the holy city. If you say Mishpatei Tzedek, we already saw Mishpat is judgment. Mishpatei Tzedek would be righteous judgments. It means judgments of righteousness. But that absolute term generally becomes adjectival in meaning. So judgments of righteousness means righteous judgments.
Yep.
Okay? So here we go. Yalda becomes Yaldat, girl of, can also be daughter of. Kalba becomes Kalbat. Kalbat Rehov is a female dog of the street, like a street dog, a female one. Mora is a teacher, and Morat is teacher of, if a female teacher teaches Morat Matematica, Mora le Matematica, but whatever. Morat. Morat HaTalmidim, the teacher of the students, or the student's teacher. Morat. Chokhmah, wisdom, becomes Chokhmat, wisdom of. Chokhmat Elohim, the wisdom of God. Chokhmat Elohim. Here's a good example of this playing out as the Torah of the Lord, the Lord's law, the law of the Lord. Ki im betorat Adonai cheftso. Okay, this is from Psalm 1:2. It says, "But his delight is in God's law, the law of Yahweh." Ki im betorat Adonai cheftso. But his delight is in God's law. Can you see Torat Adonai?
Yep.
Okay, next. This is just pointing out that most Segolet nouns don't change their form when they go into construct. Seder is Seder, Sefer is Sefer, Chodesh is Chodesh, Melech is Melech, Emek is Emek, Kesef is Kesef, Chomer is Chomer. They don't change their form, most Segolet nouns. So, Kesef Ha'am, the money of the people. Emek, Israel, it's the Jezreel Valley. Melech, Yehuda, the king of Judah. Chodesh, Sivan, Chodesh, September, Chodesh Achag, the month of the holiday. Chodesh. Sefer Torah, the scroll of the Torah. Seder Hayom. Like it doesn't change form. Most Segolet nouns. But sometimes they do. And sometimes when you have cheder, it becomes chadar. I don't know why, but it changes. Chadar. Cheder, room. Chadar, room of. Sheva, 7. Shva, 7 of. This especially is like when you say 700. To say 700, it's Shva me'ot. Shva me'ot, 700. Tesha, 9. Tsha me'ot, 900. Tsha. Normally this TSH we're going to say as if it were CH. Chameot. Chameot, 900. Chameot. We'll get into numbers, I think, next chapter, so don't worry about it. My point is just that there's a limited set of Segolet nouns that do take the normal rules where you've got near that is lengthened, or in this case it's closed, so it's with patach, and then the distant that is reduced. So, but normally Segolets don't follow the nouns; they just maintain their own structure. So this is an example of chadar mishkavecha. This is your bed chamber, the room of your beds. Ki Elisha hanavi yagid et hadvarim asher tedaber b'chadar mishkavecha. For Elisha the prophet tells the words which you speak in your bedchamber, means that he reveals the most secret and intimate of things that you say. Elisha knew all of your secrets. That's from 2 Kings. If you have an A ending like this, it lengthens to tsere. Not a big deal, but it does. So more is with tsere in the construct. Without the construct, it's segol. You won't need to know this really, it's not so important. But this expression, my help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Oseh shamayim va'aretz. Ezri.
Can we ask you for this presentation? Are you going to?
Yeah, sure. I can send it to you. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
I'll post it. So this is Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Va'aretz. My help is from with the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Va'aretz. Okay. And then back to whiteboard if you have any questions. Do you have questions? Should we ask before we keep going?
Actually, I just sent a message
Mm-hmm. To
in
the...
the chat. Yep.
I don't see it. Is my phone not connected? Oh, the group chat on this. Hold on. Yes, public chat. May need to go. Oh, that's you.
Yes.
To do the reading practice. Okay. So we will hold off on the reading practice until next week. Just let's cover real quick this idea of the locative hey. This is very, very, very simple. You can add on many words ah. The ah means to or toward.
Towards a word.
Very simple. So you have mizrach, which means east, and then you add mizracha, to the east. Tzafon, tzafona, Mitzrayim, Mitzrayma. Notice that it reduces. Mitzrayma. Tarshish, in the book of Jonah, it says Jonah runs away to the city of Tarshish, like in the direction of Tarshish. Tarshisha. Vayakom Yonah livroach Tarshisha. Jonah arose to flee to Tarshisha. Habayit is the house or home, and habayta is to home. You're going home. Ani olech habayta. Habayta, toward home. Eretz is land, just like we have haaretz, like it becomes haaretz. To the land is arza. Arza. It can mean you bow down to the ground, arza. Mishtachave arza, you bow down to the ground. Or it could be that you go to the land.
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, arza Canaan, arza Mitzrayim, to the land of Egypt, to the land of Canaan. And in our reading this week, Timnah is the name of a city, and they go Timnata. It says twice in the reading, Timnata, to Timnah. I think that's as far as we're going to go, because the next, I think, is the reading. Yeah. And this one I was showing the text that we were going to read today, and the rest of the text that we were not going to tackle, because it's pretty heavy. And then we could, if next week, I want to do next week just a review. We'll not go forward. I'll write about it on the group and let you know what we're going to do. So we will do next week review, and I'll throw these reading slides into next week's presentation.
Yeah. Well, if you could send the slides, I'll do the reading.
Of course.
And if you provide like a couple minutes next week, and then I'll do we can practice together.
Okay, excellent. So thanks for showing up. Sorry about the late time. I just didn't want to start with just one person. So
yeah, I'm really sorry about that.
It's all right. We'll catch you next week, and God willing, all will be right in the world. And I'll write up what I'd like you to review. I'll write it and send it out tomorrow.
Thank you.
No problem. We'll see you later.
All right, Jason. Take care.